Hello. Hope you all had a fabulous weekend. Did something fun and exciting. This is the Linda Cohn Show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for liking, sharing, and of course, subscribing. I really appreciate all of you that have already done that. It has meant so much. So keep spreading the word because I like the direction we are going in. We are only going up. And it's not like we don't have stuff to talk about because, man, every day we have things to talk about. And, before I start telling you about this story, I kind of was like humming and hawing, wavering a little bit. Do I really want to do this story? But you know what? I said, yeah, because I kind of want your input. I really want to know how you guys feel when I mention this story and how it was handled, because sometimes you need a sounding board. And I know how I feel about it. I know what was my gut feeling when I first heard about this story. And I'm going to give you all the details if you don't know about it. And then you can come to your own conclusion. And then you can let me know, because I want you to give me your comments in the chat box. Love that. Dominic will definitely share that. And don't forget, at the end of the program, we will have questions and I will attempt to answer as many as we have time for. So again, thanks for being here. So that story that I'm talking about, it was stunning to read at the time. Yeah. I mean, it came out at noon Eastern, Saturday, July 25th. I want you to remember the date, July 25th, noon Eastern. And what it was, the San Francisco Niners had a very, it was a scary post. They released a statement that read that their head coach, Kyle Shanahan, had been involved in a serious car accident. Thank goodness he survived. Thank goodness he was okay. Thank goodness the injuries were non-life threatening. All of that. And the statement went on to say simply that Coach Shanahan will participate in team activities on a limited basis, and that assistant coach Chris Forrester and team coordinators will take over Kyle Shanahan's coaching duties while he recovers and until he returns to 100%. And he will be on the sideline for the season opener in Melbourne, Australia, against the Rams, when the Niners go against the Rams. That statement, again, posted noon Eastern, Saturday, July 25th. So again, happy that Kyle Shanahan was okay. But then just a minute later, because I'm addicted to my phone, Adam Schefter, ESPN's great insider, Adam Schefter, puts out his own post. But he not only gave the information about the accident, he gave details that even the Niners did not put in their initial statement just a minute earlier. I mean, details of the injuries, that Shanahan suffered a broken nose, a broken hand, multiple ribs were broken, and he also suffered a severe concussion and needed 40 stitches, the result of this accident. He also, Adam Schefter said in the post, the driver of the other car was not seriously injured. And also, there were police reports that said drugs and alcohol were not involved in connection with this accident involving Kyle Shanahan, in which he suffered serious injuries, but non-life-threatening. Okay, here's the kind of head-shaking part and the odd part. And me, as someone that's been in the business for decades, then we found out this accident occurred back on July 14th. Again, we first knew about this. The statement came out July 25th at noon. Then Adam Schefter came out with his report a minute later. The actual accident took place 11 days earlier. Now, I don't get it. I mean, first of all, in a minute's time, Adam Schefter was able to type all those extra details that even the Niners did not release a minute earlier. But the bigger picture did he know? And I'm not just putting it on Adam Schefter. Was he like hiding these details until he got the green light from the San Francisco 49ers that he could put out this post on social media to give out all the details? It was kind of bizarre. But this is the head shaking part for me, as someone that's been in the business for decades. We live in a TMZ world. Have you noticed? I mean, we've lived in this world, this reactive world, for many, many years now, where if something happens involving some kind of famous person, you know about it. Poor Kyle Shanahan, my goodness, he was in a serious car crash and we didn't know until 11 days later. I'm not talking about the next day or was delayed 2 days, maybe for his family and people like that. And maybe, who knows, if it was touch and go sort of situation. I get all that. But it was declared it wasn't in those first day or 48 hours. 11 days went by and nobody knew about it. Now, what about the other driver? We haven't heard from the other driver, which seems kind of bizarre in this TMZ type world we live in. And again, I'm saying it over and over again. I am very happy that nothing seriously happened to Kyle Shanahan and he's going to be back on the sideline. This is scary. We've all been in close calls involving automobiles. And if you haven't, you're very lucky. And it could happen so innocently. But it was, I have to give credit, what got me thinking, I thought it was odd, but I didn't. And this is where I was like, oh, do I mention this on the show on Monday? It was Saturday, it was mentioned on the show. And then I see Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk and even Tony Farmer, that independent journalist who you may like or not like. He's the one that broke that Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini story. They were just asking questions that I'm asking. And that's what, people in the media do or supposed to do, ask questions to try to, kind of figure the story out. Why was there an 11-day gap? See, if I was with the 49ers, and no one's asked for my opinion on the 49ers, and no one's asked for my opinion from the NFL, but if I was from the 49ers organization or the NFL organization of any way in public relations, I would want to get ahead of it. Why do I want to risk any kind of speculation out there if someone did find out something within this 11-day period that everybody was like crickets and nobody knew anything about it? What happens if people were coming out with, fake stories or fake news and speculating? In PR, you want to get ahead of the story. And I feel if they did that to assure everyone all fans of the Niners, all NFL fans, all of us sports fans who just care about Kyle Shanahan's health, get ahead of it and say, he's going to be fine. He's going to make a complete recovery. You would think they would have wanted to. And that was just very, very puzzling to me. I mean, I don't know what you think. I want to know what you think. And then I was hearing on Mike Florio's Pro Football Talk podcast with Chris Sims that Adam Schefter is a good friend of the family of the Shanahans. He wrote a book with Kyle's dad, Mike Shanahan. And you have to wonder, why didn't Adam step away from the situation if he felt he was too close to the situation, if he couldn't do his job? Or was he listening to the Niners and what they wanted to do instead of him doing his job, which is sharing the information? Or maybe he wasn't allowed to. And so that's where Mike Florio was going. And I have to agree with that. I think that has to be looked into because there's really a gray area now with what is an insider and what is a journalist and the role of the beat reporter. When you look, and I did look on social media to see what many of these beat reporters for the 49ers were saying, they didn't know anything about this accident. They were left in the dark. And that's sort of puzzling to me. Now, on that Mike Florio Pro Football Talk show on Monday, his co-host is Chris Sims. Chris Sims has made no secret. He and Kyle Shanahan are buddies. Their families are close. And Chris, to his credit, put his best friend first. Chris Sims is not an insider. Chris Sims is not a journalist. Chris Sims is not a reporter. So his priority in his mind was to his friend Kyle Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan's privacy. And I get that. But Chris Sims was telling Mike Florio today on that podcast, he said he turned to his wife as each day went by after he heard about the accident and after he was able to talk to his buddy Kyle Shanahan to see that he's okay. And he and his wife were wondering, oh, wow, I can't believe this hasn't come out yet. as each day went by of that 11-day period that we all didn't know that Kyle Shanahan was involved in this awful accident. So even Chris Sims was like, this is kind of weird. So I don't know. This is why I had to bounce it off you. I mean, is it just common courtesy by the Niners to protect their value, protect the coach? If this was a player, this was another thing I thought of. If this happened to one of their players, I feel we would have known about this. Maybe because the player performs on the field and it would affect him being at training camp and performing and maybe not be able to play in these games. I don't know. But if it was a player, I feel the Niners would have said something sooner about it. I just don't get it. Every day, things like this, there's just like a gray area. So why should anyone be treated differently? And the other aspect, which I don't want to forget, the accident occurred in Palo Alto near the 49ers training facility. First responders, police showed up to the accident, thank goodness. Got Kyle Shanahan to the hospital quickly. They did a great job. But don't they have to fill out public reports about accidents and things? And were they hiding something? You know, they're used to covering the Niners and taking care of them, so to speak, and watching the facility and watching what goes in and out of that facility. Is there something there to look at? Or should is this like a big nothing burger? Is this no big deal? But why should people be treated differently? Hey, God forbid you got into a car accident. God forbid I got into a car accident. God forbid anybody in your family did. They're not treated. Things are not covered up. I don't know if it was, but things are not kept quiet is probably a better way of saying it. It's mystifying to me. And I know I'm not the only one, but I know there's a bunch of you out there who probably think I'm crazy. And they're like, Linda, this is nothing. Let the man recover and do all this and whatever. But I'm sorry. I grew up in journalism. Been in this business. I look to ask questions. I want to get clarity. I want more information. And you got to wonder, when the Niners finally let us all in on this, it was day one of the Niners training camp, official opening of the training camp. Let's say the official opening of the training camp was next week. Were we going to find out next week as opposed to just 11 days later? So let me know what you think. But the most important thing that Kyle Shanahan is going to be back at 100%. But I couldn't ignore the way this thing went down. And how in the world were they able to keep something quiet for 11 days in this TMZ type world we live in? Whether we like it or not, that's the world we live in. So that is mystifying to me. All right, what isn't mystifying? You've had a week, you've had a few days to digest it. I posted a video on Friday talking about LeBron James. He's a Philadelphia 76er. Taking his talents to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. At the time of the announcement, I posted that video saying anything less than getting to an NBA Finals would be a disappointment for LeBron as a Sixer. I don't know if he's going to get by my Knicks. The Celtics are going to get better. It's going to be a challenge, but I think last I looked, not that I bet, but the Sixers are like plus 900 to win an NBA title with LeBron James, third or fourth, maybe fifth behind, obviously, OKC and San Antonio, the first two favorites. But I said anything less than getting to an NBA Finals and getting through the Eastern Conference would be a disappointment for LeBron. And I also said, I think LeBron picked Philly, among other reasons. Yeah, we'll get into it. Did he just go to a stacked team, as Charles Barkley said? But he picked Philly because I felt maybe he thinks he could be the savior, kind of like pull a Jalen Brunson, right? As Jalen Brunson did for the Knicks. Stopping a lengthy drought. For the Knicks, it was 53 years, right? Well, for the Sixers, they haven't won a title since 1983. So maybe LeBron, he does like attention. Hey, he can do whatever he wants. He's LeBron James. Would he love that role as the guy that swoops in, the superhero, to save the day for the Sixers and end their lengthy title drought? It could be. But here's the thing. I think he's pretty brave. I think he's pretty brave to go to Philly. I really do. He didn't have to go that route. He could have went home to Cleveland, where he's beloved, and try again with the Cavaliers and finish what he started, right? Finish where he started. He could have went to Miami and try to regain the glory there with a couple of different characters there in Giannis and Bam and anything else Pat Riley can put together for a roster there in Miami. I wanted him to go to Golden State. Could have went there, been so close geographically to all his business in LA and his family, of course. They spent a lot of time in Los Angeles. No, but he took the hard road. He said, you know what? I'm going to Philly. It's the best chance for him to win another NBA title. But the thing is, what's going to happen when things go wrong in Philly? And they will go wrong in Philly. I don't know how long it'll last, but it'll go wrong. That first losing streak, that first piece of adversity, that first complaint by one of LeBron's new teammates, not getting enough minutes, not getting the ball enough. It's just natural. It happens. How long will it take for this team to get that chemistry? We may not know until January. Seriously, how good, if they're good with LeBron, how good will they be? Because it's going to take time. It did when he went to Miami, if you remember. It took time. But, and again, Joel, will he stay healthy? Embiid? That's always a factor. But Philly fans are a passionate bunch. When things go wrong, they don't like it all that much. They'll turn on you. Just ask Santa Claus. You know what I'm talking about. That's why I think LeBron's pretty brave here. He didn't take the easy road. He didn't take the coward route. He didn't take a smooth path as he just glides into retirement and finishes up his Hall of Fame career. He wanted to be challenged, and challenged he will be. And there's a lot of upside to going to Philly, because if he went to Golden State, for instance, obviously the Western Conference with the Spurs and Thunder, they're so much better than the Warriors. I really believe that. Even with LeBron, if the Warriors had LeBron and Jimmy Butler, it would be a tougher going. But he's gone to Philly. He's going to try to make that work with Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, if he's healthy. It's like another name for Joel Embiid, if he's healthy. And then, of course, VJH Cohn, who had just a fabulous rookie year and is very talented. So we'll see. Nick Nurse is a great coach. Things will be good. But I heard Charles Barkley, my good friend, love Charles. He was on with Stephen A. Smith. I think it was Friday. And he brought up the term stacking, that LeBron James goes to stack teams. He did it in Cleveland. This is Charles's words, and I agree. He did it in Miami. He did it in LA. And now he's doing it in Philly. The difference between him and Michael had talent around him, but that talent grew because of Michael. Michael Jordan helped the growth of the players and stars around him, the Scottie Pippins, the Dennis Rodmans, whoever came into and wore that Bulls uniform and made big plays, Steve Kerr even back in the day. These are that's the difference. LeBron, what he's criticized for is he goes to stack teams that already have all-stars on it. 3 all-stars on the Philadelphia 76ers, and he's joining them. Brown and Maxey were in the top 5 in scoring in the NBA last year. And he's joining that group. Now, to LeBron's credit, he's coming off a year in which he averaged 21 points a game. Solid numbers for him, especially for a 41-year-old guy. So when this was announced, the other thing that I just held my tongue, and I was waiting to do this show on Monday, I saw Rich Paul talking to Max Kellerman in their little podcast, and they were talking about LeBron going to Philly and how LeBron had to think long and hard about it. I don't buy that. I think it was just the perfect timing. Nothing else was going on in sports, really. That's why the announcement was Friday. But that's not what got me. We know that with LeBron, and we know that with Rich Paul. It's what the two were talking about when Max Kellerman asked Rich Paul about the fact that LeBron was not only joining another super team, but this super team is located in the hometown of the late, great Kobe Bryant, Philadelphia. And Rich Paul said something I respectfully disagree with when he told Max Kellerman, I think Kobe would be proud of it. Really? Look at that. Look at the quote right there. Kobe Bryant, that is not true, Rich Paul. I don't think Kobe Bryant would be proud of it. Kobe Bryant always has said he would never jump ship to go to another ship just because his previous ship was sinking. So I respectfully disagree. And if there was one thing Kobe was consistent about, is that point. He wasn't a fan of super teams. Kobe Bryant never hesitated to speak out on this subject. Roll it, Dominic.
That's so easy, man. You might want to reconsider what you're doing. I can't. Durant's been a friend of mine for a very, very long time. So is LeBron and all those guys. Would I make the same decision? No. But that's their decision. That's their choice. The Lakers, I've been a Laker fan since 5 years old, man. I know the Laker history all the way from Minneapolis all the way to where it is today. Right? So it's in my blood. I'm not going to go anywhere. This is home to me. We work through this stuff together. And as a leader, you got to be able to take the good with the bad, man. You can't just, because the ship's sinking, all of a sudden I'm going to jump off and swim to another ship like that. You don't do that, right? If you can win championships in front of everybody, then you can miss the playoffs in front of everybody. You got to be able to take both sides of it.
People have to do what's right for them. It's not a judgment. It's just a fact. So it is. It is.
It is what it is.
The late, great Kobe Bryant. Amen, Kobe. He never jumped ship. Never jumped ship. Stayed with the Lakers. That's why, to me, Kobe Bryant is number 2 in the GOAT debate behind Michael Jordan. Then comes LeBron James, number 3. There's no question about it. It's MJ 1, Kobe 2, and LeBron 3. The 3 greatest players I have seen in person in my lifetime. And I'm lucky. I'm very lucky. We're all lucky because just incredible. But getting back to LeBron James and his decision, I'm not going to rip him because he went to Philadelphia, because he went to a stacked team. That's his decision. But to say, Rich Paul, Kobe would be proud of it is wrong. LeBron James could go to any stacked team he wants. He took the hard road, as I mentioned earlier. And so that makes him brave in my book. He's going right into a hornet's nest. Now, we don't know if he's going to get stung or he's going to do the stinging as soon as his teammates are complaining. That's if they're complaining. Or if his teammates aren't doing something that LeBron expected them to do. We have to see how this plays out. It is one of the best, if not the best storyline to look forward to in the NBA. But the one thing I'm going to leave you with on this story is something that I saw, and a lot of people were saying this on social media. I cannot take credit. I'm just sharing it. But for the people that think LeBron James is their GOAT, well, that's only if the GOAT is defined. Are you ready? Go on another team. GOAT, not greatest of all time. They're so clever on social media sometimes. You just have to laugh. What do you think? Do you like him going to Philly? Do you think that was a tough choice? Do you think he's brave, or do you think he's a coward by going to a team that has 3 All-Stars? Let me know in the chat box. Want to hear what you have to say. I like the move. I think it makes the NBA more compelling. I'm excited for the Knicks-Sixers matchups that will happen whenever the schedule comes out. I love all of this. And the Eastern Conference, little by little, is getting better and better and better and better. But even if LeBron and company make it out of the East, they are not, I don't think they're beating OKC or even the Spurs at all. All right, then you got this. What do you know? Another distraction. Man, I got to take a drink of water on this one. Man, another distraction for the University of North Carolina football. The head coach, Bill Belichick. But let's talk about it. The team, first of all, is reportedly being investigated by the College Sports Commission, which is the entity that handles compliance and enforcement of NCAA and NIL rules. That's just part of this. That news comes on the heels of the program's football general manager, Michael Lombardi, being placed on paid administrative leave by the university following a human resources complaint filed by a former football front office employee. Now, this is a developing story. It went down on Monday as we speak, but this just adds fuel to the fire, which has been blazing for all the wrong reasons since Bill Belichick became head coach of University of North Carolina football. Now, Lombardi worked under Belichick in both New England and Cleveland. These guys are buddies from way back. And then, of course, Lombardi joined Belichick in December of 2024 at the University of North Carolina. Lombardi, remember when he made news last year? I mean, this guy's a quirky dude. He made news last year when he told scouts of the New England Patriots they can get access at all to the Tar Heels program. That would have helped their own players. So he said, no thanks to that. But here's the thing I remember most about Michael Lombardi when he first joined Bill Belichick. It was a headline a local newspaper in North Carolina had. I forgot which one, but it was back in February of 2025. So it was a couple of months after Bill Belichick was hired, and he brought Michael Lombardi along to be his general manager. Michael Lombardi said, and the headline went, "We consider ourselves the 33rd NFL team." That's right. Michael Lombardi and Bill Belichick and his staff decided to, enter the college realm and try to make it like an NFL team, run it like an NFL team, do everything like an NFL team. They forgot one part. They weren't winning like an NFL team. Like an NFL team, Bill Belichick was used to guiding a winning team. In case you try to block this out of your mind, Bill Belichick's first year with the University of North Carolina was a disaster. He won 4 games, 4-8, 2-6 in ACC play. They didn't have a single player drafted in the NFL draft. So much for developing his players that he recruited. Now, despite the record, Belichick, after this awful season, he had a good recruiting class, allegedly, reportedly. I'm not locked into it, but everything I've read, it was solid. He handled the transfer portal. He did all that. But he's got to live up to his 5-year, $50 million contract, Bill Belichick does, as he enters year 2. What would be an improvement for Bill Belichick? Well, how about getting to 6-6 and maybe be considered bowl eligible? Because he is so far away from competing for a national championship. I don't even believe I'm saying that in the same sentence. But the man makes like over $11 million a year for the University of North Carolina. And getting back to Lombardi, this guy makes $1.5 million a year. He's the highest paid general manager in college football. So we have to see where this story goes, but it's not good for Bill Belichick. UNC has invested over $11.5 million each year to this tandem, Belichick and Lombardi. My question is Belichick going to even finish his second season as the head coach of the University of North Carolina? Are we concerned with Bill Belichick's job security at this point? He better get off to a really solid start to this upcoming season, or that's all the talk shows will be talking about. I mean, last year it was the Jordan Hudson parade, that distraction. Now it's Michael Lombardi. If he wins, everybody doesn't care, especially in Chapel Hill. So it's not championship or bust for Bill Belichick. For me, it's like get into a bowl game, any bowl game, or bust for Bill Belichick. And yeah, we are talking about his job security. I never liked the hire in the first place. I thought it was a bizarre hire. But now it's coming back to bite them. And it's definitely not what UNC signed up for when they invested all this money in not only Michael Lombardi, but in Bill Belichick and his cohorts. All right, Dominic, it's that time we all look forward to. It's the time we get the questions. How are you, Dom, by the way?
I'm doing good. A spirited debate, I think, with Bill Belichick. I tell you what, it was an exciting move, I think, for UNC to do that initially. But my goodness, what an implosion. Just overall.
Yes. I mean, listen, you hate to, even if the guy makes 11 million, whatever he makes a year, $11 million a year, you don't, hey, if he gets fired, guess what? Guess what? He's pocketing the rest of his contract. So we're not all crying for him, but it's been a disaster, Dom. It really has. And we'll see how this season goes. I think it's going to be better because it's the full season of the whole NIL thing, and it's a full season of, getting the recruits and I think it's a process with him, but we'll see how long that leash is for a guy like that, especially with this latest news about the investigation that's tied to Michael Lombardi, and that's another whole situation. So it deems worth watching. So like I said, it's a developing story. We don't want to jump to any conclusions, but we just have to wait this one out. But I thought it was worth mentioning.
I know. It's so crazy to think he's arguably the greatest coach in NFL history. And he goes to UNC, and it's just completely different animal over there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. All right. Let's do some questions here.
Let's do it. What do you got?
We're going to start off with the softball one here for you, Linda. This is right up your alley, or right in the crease here. Peter Dolan says, ask Linda, how will the New York Rangers do this season?
Well, I feel they can't get any worse from last season. It was such a big disappointment. I really still getting over that they had to trade Artemi Panarin to the LA Kings, even though I'm in LA and I could see him anytime, but that's not the same wearing that uniform. Real Ranger fans know what I'm talking about. It's hard to wrap any fandom around the Kings, even if you live in Los Angeles, being a Ranger fan because of what happened in 2014. But I want them to do better. I hope they do better, but all the teams around them are improving. I don't know. It's going to be tough to get into the postseason. I'm just going to tell you that. I still think Drury, the GM, talk about a hot seat. He's got to make some big moves, and he hasn't made enough big moves. I mean, he did a little tinkering here and there. I like the moves that he has made so far. I don't know if it's going to be enough. So I don't have my crystal ball, Dom. We got to wait and see. Watch the games.
That's it. We got to wait to hit the ice.
Yep.
All right. This is more of a comment, but I think it's an interesting perspective. I want to get your thoughts on this too here, Linda. Rolando, thank you for the question or comment. What's up from Texas, Linda? If he was a Cowboys coach, meaning Kyle Shanahan, it would be everywhere. Great job. Yeah. What do you think? If it was, who's their current coach right now? Jeez, it's all over the
Schottenheimer.
Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think? It would be more headlines for sure.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in New York and being a New York native, Dom, I mean, and you in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, yep. I just think there are certain places and cities where the media would have found this out. The local media would have somehow, some way. They can't all be on vacation in San Francisco at the time that this happened.
Right.
Unless it's sad, but unless nowadays beat reporters are waiting for that information to be fed to them instead of going out and digging for the information. I mean, I still don't get it. It's still puzzling, but I agree with our Ronaldo who asked that question. Was it Ronaldo or Ronald?
Yeah, it was Rolando.
Rolando, sorry.
Yep.
We're butchering his name, but I agree with him. In a place like Dallas, where the Cowboys are everything, and I mean everything, next to college football, of course, but everything.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, someone would have known and something would have been leaked. Right or wrong, that is the world we live in. Like I said, you may not like it, but other places, other people involved, it would have been out there.
It's so weird to think. I have a journalism degree too, but it's journalism 101 when these kind of aspects come out. 11 days it was on the lam for. You didn't hear about it. And now it comes out and you're just like, we'd be more concerned for Kyle Shanahan's health, and we still are, obviously. But it's just like with the 11-day wait after coming from that, it's just like, okay, why did you wait that long? Exactly.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, Dom, and I think this is an important point and it's worth repeating. You want to get ahead of stories before people, they didn't know if something was going to be leaked. They don't know before others decide to make their own story.
Right.
Or put out details that aren't true. So you want to get ahead of it. And the Niners, I felt, whether it's the Niners or the NFL, they were really rolling the dice here, hoping it would stay quiet. I don't know.
Impressive it did for 11 days at least. I'll give him that much. So, all right. This is so I completely agree with your ranking here when it comes to LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe. So it's Jordan, you said, then Kobe, then LeBron. I'm 100% with you on that. Somebody else throws another name in the mix. Calvin here. He asked,
Kareem,
where
right?
would you
What did he
place
say? What does
Kareem
Calvin
Abdul-Jabbar?
say? I always
Yeah.
hear like Kareem. Is that his answer?
Kareem, yes. Where would you
Yeah.
put him in the GOAT debate?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you can make that case. It's just a different, I hate to say it, but it's the position he plays.
Mhm.
Okay. It's just, it's not that he wasn't the greatest big man of all time next to Bill Russell. Because I think if you mention Kareem, you got to mention Bill Russell. I
Right.
think being a big man is a separate category. That's my feeling about it. That's my feeling about it. But when it's a guy in a position like Michael, like LeBron, like Kobe, that touches the ball a hell of a lot more, they are the ones that deserve to be in the GOAT category, as opposed to the big men. They can have their own category, but I think Bill Russell stands tall, no pun intended, along with Kareem, if you're going to go for big men.
Where would you place Shaq on that?
Not, I love Shaq, but not, he was a game changer, except on the foul line. Although some would say he changed the game that way as well, or a negative way. But we love you, Shaq. But, he's right up there with the big men. Like he'd probably be right there under those two I just mentioned.
Okay. We'll close out with this one, Linda. It pertains to LeBron, and I think this is an interesting thing to think about. With him going to the Sixers, Monica, she says, but if they do not win in his 2 years in Philadelphia, will his legacy be tarnished? What do you think about that legacy aspect of it all with LeBron?
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be. That's why I think he's brave by going to the Sixers, because, he might get to a final, but up against those Western Conference teams. But to answer the question, Monica, I think it won't hurt the legacy. To me, he'll still stay number 3 all time, in my mind, of the GOAT debate. I don't think he's going to drop because of all the records, and God bless him, that he set, but in the longevity and taking a chance. But yeah, he went to so many different teams. And if he fails, now on the other side of that coin, what happens if he wins? Does the narrative change that he's won titles now if he wins with Philly, that'd be Philly, Cleveland, Miami, and LA, 4 different teams. Does his legacy improve? Does he move past Kobe? Does he move past Michael for some people? My answer is no, but it would definitely help his legacy because he would accomplish what he set out to do and took a chance by going to Philly. I don't care if they have 3 All-Stars. It's still walking into a hornet's nest, playing in that city. And LeBron has shown and told us he's not afraid.
I got to give him credit for doing it. I think, it's super team. You got a lot of big names in there. Maxey's doing great and everything. And the Jaylen Brown trade, everything. You're still in Philly. And if things go sour, they go real sour.
Spoken like a Pittsburgh guy. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait, I forgot the most important thing that I wanted to say.
What?
About LeBron and Philly fans. According to Brian Windhorst, who knows LeBron as a media person more than any media person I've ever known, because he's covered LeBron since LeBron was a child. He said today, Monday, as we're talking to now, to all you guys, that LeBron James doesn't plan to live in Philadelphia. Right. He plans to live in New York City. Let me repeat that, Sixers fans. Are you sitting down? He doesn't plan to live in Philadelphia. What's wrong with Philly and living there? He'd rather live in New York City. That is really going to a place where I didn't think LeBron James was going to go. Now, I officially, let it be known, even though I'm a New York girl and was born in New York City, I frown upon that decision, LeBron James. I know you're not going to be stuck in a car for 2.5 hours making that commute. I know you're going to be on your charter jet making that commute, which is only about, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes. Not that I've ever been in a charter jet from New York to Philly, but I looked it up. 20 to 30 minutes in a charter jet is your commute from New York to Philly, Philly to New York. Gate to gate, it's about 35 to 50 minutes. LeBron James, I hope he changes his mind. But as we speak, on this day, Brian Windhorst, who knows LeBron better than any media person, reported that LeBron will be living in New York City during the season and not Philadelphia. Dom, your thoughts?
Yeah, if I'm Rich Paul, I would tell him, let's get you in Philadelphia. You can crash on South Street. You can go in South Philly, be right in the thick of the action. Get some Tony Lukes. You'll be good. You want to endear yourself to the Philadelphia fans. I lived in Philly for 5 years, and I could take my beef being in Pittsburgh with Philly. I love Philly. I love the city.
Oh, it's a great city.
It's an
it
amazing
really
city.
is.
Mm-hmm. So I would definitely go to past Young, run the Rocky steps with LeBron, embrace Philadelphia. You can't just not. You can't.
I know.
Can't do it.
Oh, that was who's advising these people?
I don't know.
I mean, whether it's the 49ers or LeBron, who is advising?
Maybe it's Jalen Brunson. Maybe he's saying, hey, LeBron, you want to maybe just hang out?
Yeah, and by the way, Dom, as a Knicks fan, how happy was I when LeBron and Rich Paul reached out to the Knicks and they said, it's okay, LeBron, we're good.
Hey, we're all right. We're okay. We got this.
We don't need you.
Nope.
Yeah, where were you like 18 years ago? But right now, we don't need you. We're the champs.
Yeah.
I love that.
I do too. But credit to LeBron, though. I think it is a good move. But you gotta live in Philly. Gotta live in Philly.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Is it time to promote our guest for Thursday? It might be. I say yes. And I am, it's one of the funniest humans ever. And it's one of the most funniest people I've ever worked with. And he makes me cackle like no other person. And he is the great, I call him Kenneth, the great Kenny Mayne. Get a load of that picture. Doesn't Kenny look dreamy in that picture? I'm going to tease him about that picture come Thursday. It's like he went to a modeling school. Anyway, Kenny Mayne's the best. He's going to join the Linda Cohn Show this coming Thursday. So I hope you guys all tune in because it will be nonstop laughter. And let me tell you something. I have learned 2 things about Kenny that I never knew when I worked with him all those years at ESPN. And you will find that out. We will share that with you. So we look forward to that. So again, just thank you guys. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. We're going in the right direction. Thanks to you. Feel free to comment on anything I had to say, but I really appreciate it. And I do love, you don't always have to agree with me. I just love to hear what you guys have to say because I know you love sports as much as I do, even when we're talking about things that are taking place off the field, but we have to talk about them right here on the Linda Cohn Show. All right, we'll see you Thursday. Have a great one.